Welcome to the Shark Tank Podcast. Each week, one of the best entrepreneurs from ABC's network smash hit Shark Tank teaches you how to swim with the sharks without being eaten alive. And now your host, serial entrepreneur, TJ Hale.
Next up is a way to send a little love and comfort to your loved ones.
Hi, I'm Marti Weimer.
And I'm Scott Gustafson.
Our company is Spoonful of Comfort.
And we are seeking $400,000 in growth capital in exchange for 10% of our business.
Interview from season 8. This is Spoonful of Comfort. Please say hello to Marti and Scott. Hello, you two. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hello, we're good.
So you're still dripping wet. You're like 3 days fresh out of the tank. How's it feel?
Awesome.
Yeah, great.
Pure adrenaline. We're running on.
You guys look like you're well rested. You've been getting sleep. Something's wrong here. Did you hire a gigantic
I don't know
staff?
about that. Makeup.
We both decided it was probably time to clean up because since we were going to be on your podcast, we've just been so hard.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So before we do anything, if you're watching or listening to this podcast, either on YouTube or on iTunes, make sure to check out the link. It's sharktankpodcast.net/Patreon. That's where you can find the insider interview that we just did about your experience behind the scenes on Shark Tank, how you got on the show, and all the things you wish you'd done differently, if any, if you could go on again. And that's going to help anyone who has aspirations of being on Shark Tank. Great segment, so definitely go check it out. Now, for this one, we're going to talk about your business, how it got started, and just kind of the general overall entrepreneurship pivot. Like, what do you learn when you go on the show that helps you carry forward, and how can other entrepreneurs be benefited from that? So let's start with the inception of the business. Marti, you had a great segment in terms of the emotional connection, talking about your mom. When did you know this business actually had some legs, that it could be something, and it wasn't just you doing it in memoriam of your mother?
Exactly. So it kind of started as almost a hobby and something I was like pouring my grief into initially. It was just me. I had these fantastic little Amish ladies in Sarasota originally making the soup for me in their commercial kitchen. And I was hand packaging every package up, handwriting every note myself. In doing that, for about a year. And then I won a PR contest that I had applied for. And we were picked up, and then all of a sudden, started getting picked up by the Today Show and blogs and Real Simple magazine, and things really started to take off. And one of my favorite early stories, I don't know if they're even around anymore, but there was a blog called Daily Candy. And they ran an article on us, and I didn't know it was coming. So I get up one morning, I go to my computer, I'm checking the orders, and it was like that You've Got Mail movie, and it was going ding, 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 and I completely locked up, froze up. I just started to cry, didn't know what to do with myself. My husband walks by, and he's like, "What is wrong?" I'm like, "I don't know. We're getting all these orders. I don't know where they're coming from or why, and what are we going to do?" And, called tons of friends and family to come over, and we just went at it. And so that's kind of was the aha, okay, maybe we are on something here, of struck a nerve for a need, beyond our.
So you're crying, you're a mess. Give us some perspective here. What level of revenue has come in these dings?
Well, I mean, in those days, I was doing a few orders a day, right? Okay. So in that one day, I had, I think it was over 200 orders. Okay. All of a sudden, in one day, which was huge.
It's like a mini Shark Tank tsunami, right? 6 months of business in one day.
Exactly.
And were you an entrepreneur before this? Were you an entrepreneur before this, or was this your first venture in entrepreneurship?
So I was. I mean, we can go way back to the classic lemonade stands, and then middle school, we were one of the first people to have a computer, and I would charge students to type their papers. And then in high school, I started selling my notes. And one day, my business dropped off. I didn't know what was going on. Come to find out, a boy in the school was buying them from me, photocopying them, and reselling them to everybody else. And so I was so mad, I hunted him down, and then I, did what any self-respecting woman would do. I married him. So that That guy became my husband.
Oh, the feminists all just cried out with one loud voice.
I
and it was
know.
silenced.
He, gave me a run for my money. So, married him, and that was seniors in high school.
And he's been doing your photocopies ever since, right?
Yes, and so that's actually how Scott and I got connected. So my husband worked for Scott in a venture prior to this.
So Steve and I were working in a footwear company, and we had licensed the Swiss Army brand for footwear, and Steve was our vice president of sales, and we exited that. We sold the company, and at the time, I said to Steve, "I'd love to do something else with you, so let's start looking at other opportunities together." And Steve and I were actually commuting cross country, meeting up. I was in Utah, he was in Florida, and we would meet up at shows, and we were doing some deal evaluation, and that happened to be about the time that this daily candy thing happened with Marty. And he called me one day and he said, "Buddy, I've got to cancel our trip. I've got to stay here and do this soup thing for my wife." And I was like, "What soup thing are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And so he told me about it, and I was like, "Buddy, if you've got something like this, why are we out looking for another deal? Let's partner with your wife and let's grow this business." And the first thing out of his mouth was, "There's no way I can work for my wife. No way can I work for my wife." And I was just like, "Okay, well, can I at least talk to her, look at it, let's do a little bit of research." So we did some research on food gifting, and food gifting was really taking on a lot of market share from flowers. And it was happening for a lot of occasions, but there really wasn't anything for the get well occasion. And so we saw it as an opportunity to say, okay, let's jump into providing a real gourmet food option and experience that's a great alternative to flowers at or about the same price as flowers. And let's scale this thing nationally. And so that's what we did. It's really what we did in those first couple of years, was really just get it to scale nationally, where we had fulfillment solutions, where we had USDA manufacturing solutions, and we had it all dialed in so that we could handle the volume.
Yeah, and you mentioned in the insider segment that the Groupon, or they called it the gifting company, kind of caused some issues for you, but they didn't give a lot of details in terms of when that was. I mean, I think Robert said you've been doing it for 5 years. We didn't get the cost of the product, and I'm sure that was to orchestrate the tension that they wanted on the show, but we didn't find out really how long you've been doing this and how long you've been at it. So kind of give us some background on where you were in the business when you got to Shark Tank.
Awesome. So we brought the business to Salt Lake in January of 2011. And we partnered with Groupon during the year of 2011. That's when Groupon was new. That was when they were hot. And
their stock was at $40, and they got offered like $20 billion or whatever to buy out. They should have taken that.
Yeah, they totally should have. So we partnered with them, and they would run a daily deal in a major metropolitan area, probably every other day, more or less.
And actually, we were one of the first companies to do a national deal with them. Yeah. And so what happened?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm like totally.
No,
well, and then cut it out. We sold more than we intended.
Yeah, I mean, it just went crazy. I mean, people thought it was a great idea, and so we sold, upwards of 10,000 coupons. And there was a cost associated with each one because we had to pay Groupon, and then we of course had to fulfill the product and pay for shipping and everything. And so it, initially, we were expecting it to drive a lot of repeat business to our website. Right. And as we got into it, we were like, these customers are not in it to buy full price from your website. And as we, as people started to, report their experiences with some of these similar companies, we realized, oh, shoot, we've made a commitment to all of these customers that, we need to make a decision on. Are we going to keep this commitment? Or are we going to bail on this commitment? And we just decided it was the best thing to do for the people who we committed to honor the Groupons that they had purchased. And so we did it, but we definitely pivoted. So we only did the Groupon thing during 2011. And, then we pivoted away from that and really invested heavily in other digital marketing activities from there on out. And what we found was that by going after the right customers through the right channels, that we were able to acquire them at a lower cost, and we were able to derive, and currently our LTV on each customer is $300.
Yeah.
So when you look at a customer acquisition cost of $18 and their lifetime value of over $300, you say, okay, well, it's worth the investment, and we're getting better, And those initial Groupons that we sold, it did skew the number, the average customer acquisition cost upwards, but we've gotten that down, and it continues to go down. So one of the best customer acquisition activities that we have right now is word of mouth and referral marketing. I mean, people that experience the product, they love it, and the word spreads from there.
I really want to get into that, but let's save that. So for those of you listening, let's save the marketing and the pivoting a little later in the show, because one of the things that I used to do is I would give more perspective and I'd play clips from the show, but YouTube has been dinging me a lot for this. So let me talk people through what happened. So you came on, they said that in the last 12 months, you had about $1 million prior to airing. We didn't really figure out what overall sales were. So obviously you're able to generate gross revenue, you're able to get customers, but the focus of this was on an $18 COCA, right? Cost of customer acquisition. And that's kind of where they focused the tension of your show. And they didn't tell us what it cost to make the product. So I did some math backwards based on what Robert said. And at $69 retail, if $18 was 40% of your margin, it means you're probably producing somewhere between $25 and maybe $30 on the high end per box. Is that somewhere in the area of, is that anywhere close?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's close. Yeah, it's close, and we offer a lot of incentives to our customers too. So we'll offer a 15% coupon code to our existing customers to get them to come back and repeat purchase, and just to give them a little reminder of, hey, do you have anybody that you want to send this to this week, type of thing. And then in terms of customer acquisitions, we also have some discounts. So you look at it, you see, okay, well, their most popular package is $69.99. You can get it for $59.99 if you take the cookies out, and then on top of that, you can get the coupon discount. So you can really get that cost down. But yeah, I think you're pretty accurate.
Because with those numbers, if I add an $18 customer acquisition cost, you've still got keystone margins on the original product. It's not, if you got $300 lifetime customer value, you're still doing pretty good. And I think it was Lori who said there's enough here for you two. I don't know if there's enough for an investor. That statement sounds true if you guys are just continuing to grow the business based on those numbers, right? So I think Shark Tank kind of gave the impression that there was trouble on the horizon. And now in speaking to you, I don't think that's completely accurate. So that's kind of what I want to clear up during this segment, in addition to talking about what
and the other thing to keep in mind when you're in the gifting business, we get 2-for-1 on our customer acquisition, remember. So we have the actual customer, and then we have the recipient that we can convert.
Yeah.
And we do. So, that's kind of something to also keep in mind, in what we do and how our business, so long as we're doing our job right and keeping our product premium and providing a great experience, we get both of those.
All right, so really good point. Let's talk about some of the other notes that I had as from just a general fan basis watching the show. Number one, a half a dozen rolls will not feed a family. That will feed me and me alone. We need to put at least 20, maybe 2 dozen, 3 dozen rolls in this thing going forward.
Yeah.
They're big. Okay.
So that's just one concern I have. Scott, you've invested $1.3 million in the company. I looked at that and said, there's already a shark standing with Marty. Is there room for another shark in this deal? Doesn't everyone need a Scott in their life, Marty?
Yes, everyone does, for sure. Definitely, yeah. He's, been fantastic and, has made this seed investment into our company. And another thing is we're further, I think we're a little bit further along than some of the other companies that have gone on the show in our space. And, you reach certain levels, I guess, or for maybe I'm not saying that properly, in the business where in growth, where you hit a certain plateau and now it's ready, time to take it even further.
And that's really what I've tried to do is as we've hit certain milestones, say, okay, we really need to take it to the next level. It's not been a blind investment. It's been one of look, let's hit the milestones, let's get to profitability, and then let's really invest more in customer acquisition type of things. And what we initially thought was that the $500,000 was going to be enough, but with the Groupon I guess debacle, and maybe I shouldn't use the word or use the name Groupon, but I mean the way that it didn't pan out the way that we expected it to, we had to go in and we had to double down.
Yeah. Since they take half the money at the end of the day, and it skews the numbers for sure.
Right. Just that.
And it also was a timing standpoint. When we signed up for, again, we're back talking to them, and that's 4 years ago, and it moved on.
Yeah.
But another thing, if other people are, those deals are still out there and looking at, is you sell them all at once, but they don't redeem it all at once, right? So that was the other thing that was tricky, is our anticipation is great. You're going to buy the Groupon, you're going to redeem the Groupon, use our product, love us, and come back. There were a large majority that took a year to use it. So we didn't actually get the benefit of selling Groupon, because they didn't get the product and get the experience until a year out. So
Groupon says, hey, a lot of people won't even ever redeem it, so you just get free money.
Well,
not really. If they bought it, they're going to use it.
Yeah, and we are still honoring it 4 years later.
Oh, wow.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't have that many that call us, but when they do, we'll give them the face value of what they paid for it. You know what I mean? I mean, we want to be that type of company, and there's a lot to be said for the type of company that you are with your customers, and that's really, I think, why we are where we are.
So let's talk about the critiques. Let's talk about the things, the feedback that came out. Marty, it's okay. It's cool. These are useful, right? Barbara kind of surprised me. We'll start with her because hers was harsh. I was a little shocked that she played the Kevin card on you. I don't think I've ever seen her talk about shooting things behind the barn.
I believe that this is a business that's going to fail. The business isn't fancy enough to support everything you're doing. The idea that you put $1.3 million plus into this business blows my mind. Too complicated. It's nutty. It'll never work. I want to be a Kevin on this one and tell you to go out in the back and shoot it. I'm out. And I suggest you go out too.
Seriously.
Did the animosity come out early, or was that all kind of charged and loaded at one time at you before she went out? Like, talk to us about that.
It was harsh.
I have to imagine you thought Barbara was like one of your top potential sharks.
Exactly. And like I had said, we they had called us. We didn't apply to be on the show, and I initially said no because I was scared of Kevin doing that to us. And so I was all ready for Kevin. And then when Barbara, whoa.
Yeah, that was a little bit that took us a little bit by surprise.
Yikes!
And she did come on pretty strong. I mean, she asked a few questions and wanted to try and understand, but she listened to a lot of the other sharks, and then all of a sudden she just dropped the hammer, and we were like, okay. We really did. We thought that Barbara was going to really like the idea more than she did. And the other thing
everybody
that
really seemed to like the soup a lot. I mean, that's the big thing with food, right? You don't want anyone to say it's terrible.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, all of them said. I mean, all of them. Even Robert was like, nobody loves soup more than me, but I just love this soup. This soup is amazing, and that was a real compliment. I mean, we felt really encouraged at that point. And I think that when it got into the the sharks taking their time to have their say, Barbara really, just dug in deep on it. And Kevin was very much the opposite with us. I mean, we were really feeling like, Kevin and maybe Damon were close. We're close. Yeah.
What time of day did you pitch? Maybe Barbara just hadn't taken her medication. What time were you in there?
Oh, that's funny. No, Barbara was great. I mean, you can't say anything. I mean, she's super successful, and she's done so many great things with so many companies. And I mean, we look at it and we just say, for whatever reason, she just wasn't feeling it. And I don't know if she got it because maybe she didn't get a chance to really open the box and see how it's done. It was more of a what she was hearing that we were saying and the other sharks were saying. So,
what time did you pitch? Was it what time approximately were you in there?
We were like later morning, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean,
was it soup third? I mean, was it appropriate time? I think you don't want to go in there at 10 a.m.
TJ, like when you are there, you have no idea what time it is.
Yeah, you're in a bubble.
Like
right?
you have no idea. Like I say that, and she looks at me like, "Are you?" Like, wait, I thought it was the afternoon. Like we walked out of there and we were like, what time is it?
Yeah.
You know, what day is it?
What day is it?
What
time is it?
So,
yeah.
I mean,
the whole experience was very surreal.
It was a really cool experience. And the Shark Tank set itself is awesome. It's awesome.
I was trying to think of a movie, you know, when they come out of clubs after like a 2-day binge and the sun's out, and like, whoa, it's like Inception, right? Time just slows down. You have no idea what's going on outside of your world.
Yeah.
All right. So continuing on, Mark Cuban, I thought made a pretty good point. He said, look, you're not in the food business, you're in the marketing business, which means you have to be best at marketing. And I'm curious what else was said around this point, but I thought it was valid. So talk to us about his feedback.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, that's which, you know, something they didn't show is, yes, we hear you. And that is an area we know that we need some help on, and which is why we were there. So, you know, it's kind of that classic position of if we...
Let me stop you right there, because this is what I tell like mock Shark Tank clients. If you go in there saying the number one thing we need help with is marketing and advertising, it's usually a little sketchy because the sharks want to insert themselves into the equation as the solution, and that's the one thing they don't want to solve, right? They want you to say, well, we got marketing figured out, now we need to get our costs down, or we need to figure out how to... So,
and that was one of them.
I don't think it's a take it out behind the barn and shoot it, right? You're not in the food business. You're not in the comfort business. You're in the marketing business. But to be in the marketing business, you have to be good at marketing. You're trying to be dependent on us to fix that for you. And to me, that's a bad combination. So for those reasons, I'm out.
And I think it was more what Marty's saying is more of a, you know, would love to be able to partner with one of your platforms that you already have. Would love to be able to, you know, be part of something that you've already got dialed in, you know. And then if you infuse this capital into our company, then we're going to be able to scale. We're going to be able to acquire more customers. We're going to be able to scale faster. We're going to be able to accelerate revenue. And so from that standpoint, that's really what we were asking for. And Mark was right. I mean, there's, you know, in a lot of businesses, you can get real fixated on, you know, this is we're, you know, very product focused. We're very this, but, you know, ultimately, if you're an online retailer, you've got to be marketing focused.
And that kind of coincides with Damon's comment, which I thought was probably the best feedback that came out of the entire segment, which is he said,
I like this actual concept. The biggest challenge I'm having with it is you have to find people when they have a cold, and I just don't see it growing out of that at the moment, especially with a very high valuation. So unfortunately, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm thinking if there's one thing that stood out to me, it was that Damon nailed it on the head. That's the challenge with your marketing. True or false?
Yes and no, because something also we were trying to get across to them is, of course, we definitely send soup for the flu, like cold and flu and things like that. However, a large majority of our business is around other occasions. So it's not just for sick. Sympathy gifts. We send tons of gifts for new moms who've had, you know, just had babies, kids in college, surgery. That there are 50 million surgeries a year. And that's also like that was something we kept trying to like get them out of is we're not just the cold. We're not just for a cold, you know, that's,
it seemed to be that they got stuck on that.
Yes,
you know, it was more like they were a little bit stuck on, well, I don't know if so-and-so's got the flu, and they'll be better in 2 to 3 days when the package arrives. And, you know, a lot of what we've found is that chemotherapy and people who have multiple treatments of chemotherapy are, you know, repeat customers. They've got multiple people who are sending them things. We've got a lot of business from corporations, you know, and I should mention professional service providers who love to take care of their clients and can really build on the relationship that they've got if they show that they care about them when they're going through something.
I hadn't really even considered that. So I'm wondering, I'm on your website now. Shouldn't it be more like WebMD where it says, tell us where it hurts and like click here to send this product?
That's a great suggestion, actually. I mean, that's something that we've considered and we are considering.
It would be like wine pairings at a restaurant, right? Here's the perfect fit for everything that could possibly be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I know, seriously.
But no, that is a great point.
Yeah,
here you go.
But we do have a good and a growing corporate gifting business, and that's one area of growth that you know, we're counting on and that we're seeing. And we've had orders come in from a lot of really big corporations. I mean, Major League Baseball orders for players when they're injured. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has ordered from us. I mean, Home Depot's ordering from us for their employees when they're down and out. I mean, corporations who want to make sure that their employees, when they're out, know that they care about them, are using our product. And, anybody that wants to strengthen their relationship with a client is using our product.
I'd like to tell a story. I have a friend named Dave Alwan who I've gotten to know really well, and he went on twice on Shark Tank, right? The second time he went on to pitch his online and mail order business. And that's the part of the business that Mark Cuban agreed to do a deal with him on. And I was talking to him the other day, and it's exploded. And it's interesting to see the dynamic between this go out and hunt and flip over rocks and fish for customers versus go to these corporate events and get on their gifting programs, and the difference that makes in the business almost overnight. I mean, he's flying to Vegas, he's flying to these large distributors and gifting companies. And I know Wicked Good Cupcakes has gotten to that game. And it goes from a couple customers at a time to $1 million orders, almost like that.
Right.
And so I think I want to talk about this a little more in terms of the emphasis of finding these places who already are in touch with your customers and already are in tune with when they need the product, because that solves your whole problem. So is that in terms of the pivoting after Shark Tank, is that one of the major goals going forward?
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I think was so fantastic about this process. Wave my hands all the time. Is you, first of all, you're a better business by just preparing to go on the show. Then your feedback, obviously, from the sharks. And then in addition, feedback from customers and people who have been emailing us and messaging us of things they love, things they would love to see added or in addition. And so I think overall, it's making us a stronger and better business as a result of the experience.
Definitely.
So I definitely want to tag on the marketing questions to that. So we'll come back to it. Remind me if I forget. Let's talk about the last critiques that I have here. Lori Grenier, I don't remember if it was in the premium segment or in this one, where she talked about how she could see you guys continuing to make good money doing this, but isn't sure if it's investable. And I want to combine that with Roberts, who said, look, it's been 5 years and you guys haven't figured it out yet. Are those fair critiques, or did we miss something? Are they unfair critiques?
I think that Roberts was maybe a little bit off, only because what we tried to explain to them was that we have figured it out, and that we have, by being transparent with them about the Groupon obstacle or challenge that we had. Part of that was we wanted to show them how we've overcome that, and that, by investing in other digital marketing, customer acquisition tactics, that we've been able to really, get to a different place. And I think that by saying you've been doing this for 5 years and you haven't figured it out, well, we have figured it out and we are profitable. And it's one of those, and
continuing to grow even without Shark Tank.
Yeah, even without Shark Tank, we've been growing. Year over year at about 40% for the last few years, which is significant. And with the Shark Tank bump, that'll only accelerate things. But I mean, I think that from that standpoint, I mean, we have figured out a lot of it, and with a little bit more of their capital, our plan was to take it and to say, okay, we're going to accelerate this. And we're going to take what we've already learned and we're going to plug more into those existing acquisition channels. We're going to get more of those customers, and we're going to, at the same time, be able to reduce costs by building out some additional infrastructure.
And Kevin's objection that I have written down, I don't remember why he, if he was about to make you an offer, it sounds like he was interested, but he said that your cost of customer acquisition was 40% of the margin, and that's all I have written down before he went out. But you told me the LTV was $300 per customer. It seems like that would have persuaded him to get in the game. So I don't know if the ask was too rich for him, but he's already got the customer base. How close were you guys to making something work there?
I mean, I feel like Kevin was very thoughtful about it, and given maybe a little bit more time, and maybe the interest of another shark, that maybe we would have had a deal with Kevin. And he's definitely very skilled with companies like ours, and has a platform that he's been able to prove is effective at scaling our type of business. And quite frankly, we would have been we would have been pleased with, the opportunity to work with them. But in the end, I think that, as he was going through the numbers, in his head, or the numbers as he understood them, that it wasn't penciling out. And if maybe he looked at it in the context of, what is the LTV and what is the real value of this $18 cost of customer acquisition.
And he was also stuck on the cold thing.
Oh yeah, that's true. And
we were.
Yeah, like when she says the cold thing, like cold and flu.
It's just for cold. It's just for cold. Yeah.
Because exactly. And I think that if he felt like, or if he were able to get his arms around it being able to be used for other occasions or for corporate gifting a little bit better than he did in the moment, that he probably would have. It felt like we were getting closer with him. Yeah. I don't know.
So let's talk about the pivot, and let's talk about your expectations versus reality of the Shark Tank tsunami, and what you have as a company have learned from the experience and how you're doing things differently now. Just kind of lay that all on us.
I mean, we're definitely taking into consideration all of the feedback that we've gotten, and if there's one thing that it's coachable, and we want to make sure that we take that advice, and then we are also looking to validate that advice. So test it and see if the suggestions that we've gotten are valid, and if they are, then we're definitely going to move in that direction. So if we're able to pivot on price somehow. That would be something that we would want to do, because there's definitely been a lot of feedback that if it were just a little bit lower priced, that, hey, I think that would be able to grow even faster. And so
your equilibrium price, what do you think that is? What do you estimate it is? Because they all said when you told them the price, they all kind of went, ooh, with their chicken soup, right? Like, oh, it's a lot of soup. I think that's what.
But then they did. There were a few that then when you compare. Here's a couple tricky things. We are, first of all, introducing a brand new category. No one has sent soup before, number one. No one focuses on just these comfort occasions. The 1-800-Flowers, the FTDs, they are all over birthday and anniversary. And this has kind of been an afterthought for them. So we really want to we want to own that category. We want to be who you think of when those occasions arise. And then number two, when you try to send, you're sending steaks, if you're sending edible arrangements, we are not, and I think people don't understand actually the size of the package and the experience of the package they're getting. We aren't, in comparison with those products and in sending flowers, we're
really priced at parity with other gourmet gift options.
Well, pop one open. I mean, let's see what you talked about.
Send somebody flowers for, a get well occasion. You're going to send them a nice bouquet. It's going to be really easy to spend. It's going to be really easy to spend $70.
And one of the, I get it. Like, I hate that we have to spend that much for shipping. It kills me because, we don't mark that up. We pass that through to our customer. That's, business being taken away from us. And so one of the things in terms of pivoting, we're always looking to what can we do to reduce that cost? And that's one of the things I'd love to, wanted to ask them and get their expertise on logistic wise. Do we need to have a West Coast and an East Coast distribution? Do we need to have 3 of them? Do we need to have 4 of them?
Where's your distribution center now? What are you shipping from?
So we're in Salt Lake City, Utah, right?
Yeah.
And so, if we were in 3 locations, what could we save in overnight that way? And at what level do you make that jump and things like that? So we're definitely, that's something we're looking into to be able to reduce that cost. The other thing we're looking into, maybe we need smaller size packages for if you just want to send to one, and that would be more affordable as opposed to this family size that we send. So that's another thing we're definitely looking into.
Is there any way to get your cost? Like, let's say the family thing was the best product for, bang for the buck. How do you get your cost down just on that? How do you get below a $20, cost of goods? Is there any way to reduce it? I mean, it's not like you're sourcing this soup from China.
We're already really efficient in our supply chain. I mean, we really are. And the truth of the matter is that to produce and provide the quality of product that we do requires an investment in high quality ingredients, in the best of preparation, USDA inspection on every batch that's made, making sure that it's shipped in insulated liners with gel packs and, the like. And so
beautiful packaging.
And, beautiful
I'd
packaging.
hate to hurt the integrity of the package and the product. But
I'm going to just open this up for you because
we're about out of time, but let's see it. Because you talked about the experience of getting a box, right?
This is the experience of it right here. But let's just show everybody what this looks like. So this is the package.
Don't sever an appendage on live TV. That would not be good.
So when you open this up, this is the first thing that you see.
That's nice.
Okay, so there's a tray in here with a decorative label, "Loved by the Spoonful," and the whole thing of Spoonful of Comfort is that our packages have got to come with a spoon. So there you go. And then you take this off, and what you've got underneath is you've got
the card.
You've got it. Of course you've got the card, but then you've got a package that contains the chicken soup. Okay, and then you've got a roll package, and then you've got a cookie package down here, and each of these.
I'll pull one of those. Grab one of those ones.
Oh yeah. So each of these, each box, is printed up to feel like it's definitely a gift, and then on the inside, you've got, it's printed on the inside so that it feels like you're opening an actual gift.
And they each have their cute little quotes, and so like each is its own little box of fun.
Yeah. So each is its own little box of fun. And then,
this wasn't really conveyed on Shark Tank. It's unfortunate. Is there, when I go to your website, is there a place where I can see what the customer experience is going to be like when they get it?
Yes. And we have tons of testimonials and feedback that, what our customers, that they get it. They get that it's not just the soup. It's the whole
package
of what chicken soup represents to people. And don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. But it's the whole experience and the whole package that.
And like when you get this, you feel like you're actually opening a present, right? So I'm opening this insulated liner, and I'm pulling out these gel packs that are frozen hard as a rock. And then I'm pulling this soup jar out, and it's a substantial size. It's about 4 pounds of chicken soup, and this is going to be enough for multiple servings while you're recovering, or for you to share with your family, while you're going through it. So, the whole thing is let's send this in a way that it feels better than if I were to just go down to the grocery store and grab a few cans of Campbell's, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
and throw it in a box.
I think if I'm doing your marketing, I'm looking at this and saying one of the things that went by far the best on Shark Tank was the reaction, right? It's a reactionary gift product. I'm not a huge fan of flowers. My wife loves them. She also likes chocolates. But the reason that I buy those things is because of the reaction that I get instantaneously when they see the product. And I think for you, that's probably your best selling point in terms of referral marketing. So if I come to your site, I'd actually like to see, like, if I'm considering buying this, what am I getting for my money? Not in terms of food, but the reaction and the love that they feel when they open it, because it's such a special product.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
that's a great suggestion.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that on the site? Like, is there a place, if you're a big corporation?
We've got still images. We've got still images so that you can see it, and reviews. But maybe we need to do it better. Add a video. I mean, maybe we need to just add a few videos of people actually receiving the product, or just opening the box.
Yeah, kind of that whole can't be there. Why don't you show them how much you love them? And then they're just like, holy crap, Christmas morning.
Exactly.
Thanks, Grandma.
Love it.
Great segment. I was really excited to have season 8 back, and you guys made the premiere, which is a huge deal. So congratulations.
Thanks you.
So much.
What I'd love to do is stay in touch. If you got any updates, let us know. But thank you so much for giving everyone a little taste of Spoonful of Comfort. And where can they go if they want to check out the product, maybe become a first-time customer, all that good stuff?
You can find us at spoonfulofcomfort.com, and you can also reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter. And would love for any of you to reach out to us and tell us what you think.
And you said do you guys do a promotion for the first purchase? Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
We sure do.
Yep. So
I'll
you
write
go
that
on
down in the notes. What is it?
Sign up for our emails, and we do them every week.
Okay.
So you
ones every week.
You just go to the homepage and wait for the pop up, and if you enter your email, it'll give you a code for your first purchase.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, Marti, Scott, congrats. Lots of luck to you in the future, and thanks for jumping in and sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, TJ.
Thank you for jumping in to the Shark Tank podcast. Please subscribe to the show on iTunes and head over to sharktankpodcast.net to get the show notes from each episode and join the free Shark Tank Insiders list. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Shark Tank Podcast and on Twitter at Shark Tank PDcast.
I'm a big fan of money. I like it. I use it. I have a little. I keep it in a jar on top of my refrigerator. I'd like to put more in that jar. That's where you come in.